So the fans have expectations, so we brought on a couple of them just so we can discuss it. Let's go. Well, we brought on a couple of our longtime buddies from the Flames Hub. We got Ray, got Ash. I've actually known Ray for many years outside of Flames hockey and all that fun stuff. Dylan, what do you have on store for us today?
Well, today I wanted to do a little bit of maybe an expectations kind of a show. I wanted to bring up a few different players and maybe just the team in general, and get everybody's opinion on what a successful season would look like for each player and the team. So yeah, welcome on, boys. Had both you guys on before. Glad to have you back again.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man, for sure.
How are you guys feeling about Conroy's summer so far?
Pretty good, actually. You know, for him, it's been pretty good. I mean, he acquired a lot of assets between the time that they knew they were kind of falling off the edge there, and I think that moving forward, Calgary has a lot of potential here to make a lot of good moves, bring a lot of young talent onto the team, which we really haven't seen for a very, very, very long time. And yeah, I'm excited about it. And I think so far so good.
I like him as a GM. I think he's exceeded my expectations. Maybe I set the bar a little low because Calgary, in my opinion, has never really been good in the GM department. And at least since maybe Cliff Fletcher.
Yeah.
But I like what he's done. The moves seem to be pretty good. I mean, everybody around the league likes what he's done. And the Flames draft got high marks from every source that I looked at. So I guess, for now, he's done a good job. I guess we'll see how everybody translates into NHL material, or if they all translate into NHL material.
Yeah, I agree, Ash. He's exceeded my expectation as well. When they first named him as the GM, I was legitimately worried. I've always liked him as a human being, as a player, all that fun stuff. And I thought he could do good things, but I honestly thought he had way too much of that nice demeanor and wouldn't have the backbone to really make those hard decisions. And holy shit, like he crushed it with getting rid of the UFAs that we needed to through the season and rolling into the draft. I give him at least an A, but it's at some things maybe an A+. So it's been good, refreshing.
Yeah, it's funny. I got some Vancouver fans who are buddies, and the excuses they're making for Vancouver ending up with nothing from what they got from the Flames, it's comical.
Mm-hmm.
I bet.
Yeah, it's nice to see Conroy not rolling over for the most part when it comes to maybe being too buddy with the players or maybe not having, like Chris said, the backbone or whatever. But it's been nice to see he's actually got pretty good value off of most of them. He was pretty cutthroat with getting fucking rid of Zadorov when that became a problem, even though that may have not been the best return. I still think it was all right. I mean, it's the exact same as what we paid for him. So it's not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it, boys. I'm curious what you guys all think of Matt Coronato. I don't think he played a whole lot last year. I think he's going to get more of a shot this year, but I'm curious what you guys think. So let's start with Ash.
Given the hype, I've been disappointed by him.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to be better, more of a goal scorer. I don't know. He hasn't impressed me.
Fair enough. What do you think about what he needs to do this upcoming season to kind of prove to you?
Score some goals like he was touted to be a goal scorer and fill that void and give us some secondary scoring. But he just seems to be thinking rather than reacting, maybe. And he just doesn't seem to be in the play the way he should.
I kind of agree with that for the most part. What are you thinking about Coronato, Ray?
I think the same thing, pretty much. There's been flashes kind of here and there, but in terms of, what he's rated as and what he should be, he's definitely falling short of that. And I don't know if that's a mental thing. I don't know if that's because he's bouncing back and forth, and not really finding a spot on the team. It actually reminds me a little bit of Sam Bennett. I don't know if they're not using him properly or whatever the case is. I guess we'll see this year. I mean, ultimately now's kind of the time, right? Because it's, you want to use the word rebuild. Well, that's the spot that Calgary's in. And if Calgary wants to be successful, then they got to see what they have. And if you want to stay on this team and you want to be up with the big league, then you gotta prove yourself and you got to start lighting the lamp, right? Pure and simple.
Yeah.
Goals are goals, right? Goals wins you games.
Yeah, 9 points in 35 games isn't going to cut it.
It's just not going to.
No.
Honestly, 100%.
Yeah.
What, 3 goals? Three goals?
Yeah, three goals, 6 assists in 35 games. I mean, I wasn't going along with the hype personally. Yes, he was good in college. That's great. It's a completely different game. We've seen numerous players that can just have brilliant AHL careers, and it can't translate to the NHL. I was pretty skeptical right from the beginning. I don't like his size, and anything aside from goal scoring and shooting the puck, I don't think that he has much to offer at this point. He's going to learn it. He's young. I'm sure he'll get there, but at this moment, he's got a long ways to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mostly agree. I mean, I'd like to see him given more of a shot in the top 6. Like, he was kind of, middle 6 even. Like, he was kind of hampered down with Kevin Rooney. Not that Rooney was bad. He was a fine 4th-line center, but, like, he pretty much spent the entire time when he was up in the NHL anyways on that 4th line, and I don't think that's conducive for a guy who, kind of looks like he's a Kessel type player at max. I mean, since when is that type of player a 4th line?
Kessel?
What's that?
I'd be pretty happy if he turned into a fucking
Kessel. At max, right? Like, but
yeah.
Since when do you see a scorer like that, a guy who's mostly known for scoring, be on your 4th grinding line, right? Like, it's probably not the best spot, but I agree with you guys.
I think getting rid of Mangiapane will maybe open up that spot for somebody to take it. Like, I don't want him to be given to anybody. Somebody needs to take that 3rd line winger role. If it's him, great. If it's somebody else, whatever. Like, this is the time we want to see what we have in the system anyways.
Yeah.
So, if you're a Flames fan and you're expecting to be winning games right now, I got some harsh reality for you. Right? We need right now is the exact opposite. We need 3 years worth of top 10 picks, right? Before we can really start thinking about moving on to that next level.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at his bio. It's his nickname was Bison in his USHL days because he drives hard to the net. I'd like to see the Coronato that drives hard to the net, but because I didn't see it at all last year.
No, he was pretty timid. I think he was kind of overwhelmed in a lot of what he was thrown into. Whether it be just young, that sort of thing. I'm sure he'll build some confidence and hopefully be that player, like you say, drive the net, be a little bit better digging in the corners, things like that.
Yeah. But when you're a 1st-round pick and you're top 15, you should have a little more confidence. That's either he's lost his game, or I put this back maybe on the development staff with the Flames of not instilling enough or putting him in enough positions to have that confidence as a 1st-round pick. But geez, I don't know too many 1st-round picks that just lack the swagger, and he lacked the swagger.
Yeah, even in his interviews, you could tell he just didn't have that oomph, that confidence that you really want to see from from a kid coming in, right? Like show us what you got. Show us that you're having a good time, that you want to be there.
I agree. Well,
or maybe it's that case where, you know, the Flames have always been, I guess, criticized for not rushing guys. But maybe this is a case where, had they not rushed them, they'd have been better off and let them develop a little bit more below the NHL.
It's hard to say because I don't have the stats up, but I'm pretty sure he was well over a point a game in the A, right?
Yeah, I know, and that's the problem is he looks good at that level, and maybe that's where he is. He's going to be one of those, you know, AHL All-Stars and
I haven't spent
bottom 3 NHLer.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time watching the Wranglers this year because I knew what the expectations were for this season. So, and you're right. In the A, he seems to be a little bit more comfortable, and he does very well there, I would say, right? But when they come up to the big level, it's like any professional sport, right? I mean, you can be great in what we would consider the minor leagues, but only a certain few really excel in the professional leagues, right? Whether it be MLB, NFL, hockey, it's all the same.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I would imagine it's difficult for a person to be, you know, up here on line 1, line 2 in the A, and then you come up to the big club and you spend all your time on the fourth line, and then you're, you know, trying to figure that out because that's a completely different, you know, system. You know, you're there to do a different job on that line.
Well, you bring up a good point. You know, he fourth liner for a guy that's been a goal scorer. Yeah, that's a kick in the nuts.
Going from a lot of ice time to no ice time can't be easy. You know, cold on the bench and stuff, but still, like you guys all said, you've got to show it, right? And well, like Ray said, well, there's flashes. It wasn't really consistent by any measure, but. I don't know. I think he's got something to show us, and I don't think he's going to be a top line scorer ever, but I think he'll be a perfectly fine middle 6 forward one day, and I think that's kind of my expectations over the next few years is for him to become that like pretty good second liner type of thing.
Yeah, you know, I'm not willing to give up on him for, you know, at this stage. You know, if we can see some improvement in this season, then sure, let's get him a better role and let's move him forward. All
right. Speaking of improvement this upcoming season, let's talk about our buddy Jonathan Huberdeau. Who wants to start this one? What's your expectations?
I just don't know what it is with him. Like we watched him in Florida for so long be effective. And now it's just he's a complete shell of himself now. And I don't know what that is, right? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, maybe bringing Lomberg in will be that spark he needs, right? Bring him somebody from home.
Maybe.
I mean, obviously, he only spent a couple seasons with him, but you never know, right? Just something.
But again, he had some pretty good guys that he was playing with too, right? Like, it's not like he's fucking playing with fourth line guys. You know what I mean?
Well,
we should have brought him to Claire.
He doesn't have the talent in Calgary that he had in Florida.
No, and I'm not saying that, but even that, like, there's been such a steep decline in his numbers, right? Like, we're talking, you go from 100 and some odd points 2 years ago, and now you're lucky if you clip 50.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. That's a significant drop.
Yeah,
and I mean,
and as far as good line players, like he was playing with Duclair and Bennett. You know, it's not like. I mean, they're not world beaters. I mean, they're good hockey players, but I mean, Calgary has that talent on the team currently.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least that level.
Throw Coronato with him and see if you can't get him going.
Right. I mean, him and Sharangovich sure look good.
Yeah, true.
I mean, honestly, him and Zary
feeding a shooter.
Yeah.
We just need him. We just need him to feed a shooter. That's all he needs, right?
Yeah.
You know, you be in this rough area at this time, and I will get you the puck to shoot.
Well, and the other thing that frustrates me with him is he passes up so many shots.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guys. I know he doesn't like to think of himself as a goal scorer, and that's not what he was. But he thinks he's a playmaker. But Jesus, the guy can score, and he doesn't shoot.
He's got a hell of a shot.
He's got a really nice shot. He's put up 30, like in the early 30s once in his career, I think, and has been a 20 goal scorer many times. Like, I don't see why you don't shoot sometimes, right? Like, there's been a few times you see him right in front of the net, and he's got like an almost open net, and then he's like looking around for a pass, and it's like, but shoot.
Yeah. Seriously, I'm looking at his stats from Florida. In his good years in Florida, 200 shots a season. He's half of that.
Yeah.
And his shooting percentage is in half of what it was the big year that he had in Florida. So he's not shooting, and he's not converting those shots like he did that year. But the last 2 years, he's only got 40 more shots in 2 seasons than he had in his entire 21-22 season in Florida.
Yeah.
He's not shooting the puck.
No.
And guys like Duclair thrive off rebounds.
Bennett.
And garbage goals and Bennett. So there's a good chunk of his assists too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for him, I just hope he takes watching Florida win the Stanley Cup. Maybe that lights fire in him. And he just says, you know what? Let's go.
Yeah.
He didn't seem real happy about it.
No, he didn't, right? He did not seem very happy about it, but I'm hoping that he harnesses that into some, like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna show you guys the reason why these guys are these guys, right?
Yeah,
and that would be awesome. Like, if he got back, like, my expectation for him would be, 75 plus points in or at least a 75 point pace, in a full season. But, I don't think he'll get there this season. But the problem is that if he does, it's too fucking late. The team's already gone full rebuild. So if he does, the team's going to be 12th instead of 6th.
Back to that,
like
12th
12th last instead of 6th last.
Yeah, 6th last. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I mean, the only
good
thing, if he does have a good year and gets on a 75 point pace, then maybe you can send him off for something at the deadline.
Yeah, retaining 25 to 50%, and I mean, we got a ton of space right now.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Do we have a ton of space for the next 5 years?
Most likely, maybe. All right, let's move on from the disappointing players here. Let's start with some less disappointing.
But I think there's more upside for Huberdeau than there is downside, though. Because he can't get much further down.
That I agree with, because you don't have 3-4 seasons, whatever he had, over a point a game, being an all-star and breaking assist records for left wingers for NHL history. You don't do all those things and actually suck. So he's in his head, right? Like,
100%.
Hey, Ash, please don't give the players an excuse to say, "Oh yeah, just hold my beer." Please don't do that.
Yeah,
he's sitting at 52 points last year. We need more from him. I'll show you 48.
Ouch.
But in 48 games, he won't play half the games.
Fair.
Let's talk about newly extended Yegor Sharangovich, who I think exceeded most people's expectations this year. And his extension doesn't kick in until next summer. I'm curious what you guys think, because he's still playing up to that contract that he signed, not his previous deal, right? So I'm kind of curious how you guys feel about what kind of numbers you'd be looking for from Yegor.
I think he's the team leader in goals and points next year.
Points as well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like it.
I would love that.
Heard it here first from Ash, everybody.
That's right. Quote him. Just be a little better, I guess. I mean, guy had a stellar year, right?
Yeah.
So
he's got a shot.
I see a little bit more improvement, and like Ash said, right? I mean, if he starts leading the team in points, boys, watch out.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't strike me as a guy that will just rest on what he did last year. He strikes me as a guy that likes to work harder and improve. And so that's kind of where I go from there, because
he's a chip on his shoulder guy.
Yeah.
I tell you what,
if guys like Bruce Garriock can make long careers of never getting anything right prediction wise, I might as well start now.
Yeah. If we can get 80 points or more out of 5.75 mil, fucking A, bring it on. I think it's a great contract for 3 years. I mean, it's definitely a show me deal, and potentially we'll give you more, but I think 3 years is good. It works well with my prediction on when we're going to start looking like a more relevant team. So at that point, you can make that assessment. Do you trade him? Do you sign him? Do you hopefully not let him walk at free agency?
Isn't it refreshing, guys, that we don't have to worry about that anymore? Like,
I know.
It just seems like Conroy's just not going to make the constant stupid fucking mistakes that Brad Treliving is already starting to do in fucking Toronto.
Yeah. I haven't said this in a while, but fuck the Leafs.
Yeah, well, I concur.
Oh, was that out loud? Yeah.
Agreed. 100%.
Right. Is this thing on?
Like, honestly, as far as expectations for Sharangovich are concerned, like, anywhere around, it doesn't even have to be more than what he got this year. If it's anywhere around it, it's perfect for me. Like, especially with that deal is a deal that a player who got significantly less numbers than less points, less goals than Sharangovich would be signing these days. So I think that's a steal of a deal, and he's just fun to watch.
I think he's a 40-30 guy.
40 goals? You think so?
40 goals,
30
Well, he's gonna get more ice time.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's going to be put in situations to power play, and he's going to be in situations to score. So I don't think it's that far a reach for him to have 70, 75 points next year.
And I guess he started last season for like a month and a half in the bottom six as well, trying to gather himself. And if he doesn't do that this upcoming year, who knows? He could really get better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only 9 more goals, right? He's going to get, a fair bit more ice time, next year, I would think. Because obviously he's not going to be he's not going to be below the second line at any point, I would think, unless something drastic happens.
Yeah, he won't be in the doghouse. So
I see what you did there.
The map,
Doghouse.
All right, let's talk about Connor Zary. This one I didn't even pick stats for. I want to see him be comfortable at center and play center most of the season. As long as he looks comfortable there, develops there, and looks like a good centerman, I'm happy. What about you, Ray?
Yeah, I would agree. Again, like I said, I didn't spend really a lot of time at Flames games this year. I did spend some time with the Wranglers, and I think he's a perfect fit. I like him personally. I don't want to get my hopes up too much because as that tends to usually happen, that's usually when players start to fall off. Or at least in my view, that's kind of how it goes sometimes. But yeah, I think if he's going to be a center, you need to put him there and give him that time there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think points wise, he could be one of those typical sophomore slumps, but not drastic. I mean, I don't think he's going to go from 30 points to 15, but I could see him, maybe right around where he was last year, and maybe that some would look at that as a disappointment. But I think if he provides a solid season, if he plays the whole season, then I think he could, get 40 points a year next year.
I'd be ecstatic with that. I'd love that. I mean,
but I'm with you. I want to see him settle in as a center, because I think that's one thing the Flames struggled, I think, do a terrible job of, or have done, is putting guys all over the place and not where they should be. Trying to turn them into something they're not. And I think he's always just needs to be a center and let him become a center.
Yeah. Yep.
Let the growing pains happen as well. Like, don't move him off if he has a couple rough games. Maybe give him a shift or two off or something, but don't move him off for an extended period if he's got a rough game. Actually give him the chance to, that's the way I look at it anyways. It's a development year, right? It's going to be a couple of those. So
absolutely.
What do you think, Chris?
Yeah. I think he's going to get a shot at the center mark, probably on the second line, I would think, and at least get him there, and then you have to see what he can do with that position, right? That's where he's supposed to be, according to a lot of analysts. So let's give him the shot and see where he goes. I think he's going to get 45 points this year, which will be 10, 11 more than he got last year.
Yep.
So I think there'll be progression. I think he had he started the season really well, and in my opinion, he dropped off and was pretty flat for quite a bit of the remainder. He was in the conversation for Calder and all that fun stuff. He was exciting. He was scoring goals. He was assisting on Pospisil. It was a lot of fun, and then something happened, and he just was ineffective in a lot of ways for the second half of the season. So he just needs to figure that out, and if he figures that out, then even 50 points is not out of the question for the kid.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I mean, I think he sped up near the end of the season once they put him with Huberdeau and was it Sharangovich, I think, for a little bit there, and that line kind of started gelling. Even Huberdeau started playing better. So I'd like to see that line given a little bit of a run. But for the most part, I just want to see Zary at center. We don't have any centers pretty much in the system. And I think, I don't think he's going to develop into a first line center. I'd love that. But man, if we get a second line center out of that guy for, many years, then can't really argue with that, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I see a Marty St. Louis upside with this guy if we don't give up on him.
Really? You see that much of an upside? That's huge.
I do. He's exciting. He's exciting to watch. And when he plays with confidence, like Chris was saying, he's really good. He lost his confidence toward, second half of the year, and that hurt. If he can keep that confidence, the guy's, you're not in the rookie of the year conversation mix conversation because you don't have it. He just needs to find that consistency and that confidence, and then the guys, I think then he turns heads and puts attention in Calgary that is all going to go to Edmonton.
Yeah, I really like his brain. I think he's got just a lot of hockey IQ. He reads plays really well, and he is in the right spot a lot of the time. And I think that, whether he had the best stats or not, I think that kind of play really lends itself well to being a center. So
he just needs to trust it. That's the thing with him. I think he doesn't trust it every shift, and I think if he does, he's a phenomenal. I think he's an overproducing NHLer.
Really? Yeah, man. Here I was thinking I was one of Connor Zary's biggest fans.
Yeah, I was going to say that's higher praise than Dylan gives him, and I thought Dylan was the one. Well done. You surpassed the mighty Dylan Simpson.
Zary jersey right up here.
I like it too.
And he made it. He couldn't afford the jersey, so he made it. That's how dedicated he is
myself
to Connor Zary.
I didn't do any of that. It's not Fanatics, so it's actually probably better quality than it would be.
Ooh.
Telling you, DH gate, boys. You want to keep piling up them jerseys. That's the best way to do it. There's like $60. This one's even got the tie down in it and everything. Like it's bananas how good of a quality it was. Now it's unfortunate that it was a Tyler Toffoli jersey, and I thought he's going to stick around longer. But
well,
one of our buddies, Ty, has 2 Toffoli jerseys, 2 Calgary Toffoli jerseys. Like, why did you?
I don't know why you buy 2. I mean, I didn't buy 1. But
yeah,
well, I feel bad for my nephew. So my nephew, and Dylan, you're not going to like this very much. He was a huge Andrew Mangiapane fan, loved him. And so when I asked him Christmas a couple of years ago, I said, what, I'm getting a jersey. What jersey do you want? He's like, oh, I want Mangiapane. I'm like, oh, if you were an adult, man, I would tell you that you're going to have to buy that with your own money, because I am not wasting the cash to buy you that jersey. So anyway, I bought it for him, and now
clean it up.
Yeah, he's a little sad now that he's gone to Washington. Me, not so much, but
you might be surprised to hear this. I've got an Andrew Mangiapane jersey, but it's Team Canada because he was actually good playing against B competition.
Yeah, well, that's what got him his arbitration money, was that tournament, man. So.
Yeah, that's the whole reason Treliving signed him for so much, was because of what he did in that tournament.
Yeah, that's right.
And his 35 goals and 20 or 55 whole points, the greatest season Andrew Mangiapane's ever had. It was incredible.
Yeah, wasn't that the year he had 35, and I think he got only 7 of them after Christmas or something like that?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. The complete fall off after Christmas, and then
he had a good 8 months. He had a good World Championships, and he had a good start of the Flame season, and they rewarded him for that, and then he fell off.
Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. While we're all waiting for hockey to start, there are other sports, baseball, hockey, you name it. So why not try your luck at DraftKings Sportsbook? Download the app now and use code THPN. New customers get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility, deposit restriction, terms, responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023. All rights reserved.
Let's talk about Kadri. I've got an interesting one for this, but I'll let you guys go first. Ash, you want to start this one?
Okay, maybe I was a little bit optimistic with Sharangovich being the points leader. I do think it's probably Kadri, to be honest. Sharangovich might lead the team in goals, but I think Kadri's probably closer to that point of game player. But I'm not sure. My prediction is he's gone at the trade deadline. I don't think he sticks the whole year out with Calgary.
And Ash with the hot takes here. This is brilliant. I'm loving it.
Mine's actually kind of close to that, but it's not quite that. It's just holding his value that he has right now, because I don't think his value will ever be higher. I just want him to play at the very least to keep his value where it's at until he gets moved, whenever that may be.
Right.
I think that's a realistic.
I'm not sold he gets moved, but
I mean,
you know.
I'd like the world on fire, so we can trade him. get something good for him. I just gotta add to the stock, right?
We've lost
We've
your
lost Ray's
audio
mic.
there, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you lose me?
Yeah, you can sort of hear you, but it's like you're at the end of a tunnel.
No, okay.
I think.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
just came back.
Okay. Whatever I did, don't touch it. Don't move it.
Yeah.
No.
Like I was saying, for me, I think Dylan, realistically, I 100%. You just need him to really keep his value, right? On the other side of it, I'd like to see him light the world on fire and then trade him. Trade him to a team that's making a run. Get a couple of picks, stock up the cabinet, baby. Let's go. We're looking at a new arena 2027. That's where my focus is. If you can move them, you can get something for them, move them on, and you start building that team for when that new building comes out. Because you want to put butts in the seats, you're going to need to have a very good product at that point to justify the money in building a new arena.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we still have just shy of 21 million left in cap space. So we have a ton of flexibility to be able to, hold on to salary on trades just to amp up that value.
Yeah.
If we can turn Sean Monahan into like another first round pick and a prospect, I'll take that every day. Right, especially where Sean Monahan was at the time, right? Because it didn't look like he was going to necessarily play, more than half a season for the remainder of his career. At that point, he was in a tough spot.
True.
Got a lot of, So if we can get a good return for Kadri, I mean, I wish him nothing but the best. Like I do enjoy watching him. At least the last half of the year, I was really enjoying watching his game. He did really good with the kids. He I think he did a really, really good job just stepping up to the plate last year and becoming a leader and just doing it. I was super impressed with him last year. It was refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
I think he got a bad rap because he came out of Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't a media darling, and the media didn't like him, and so people didn't like him.
I also didn't like a lot of the antics he was pulling, during that time as well. He really hurt his teams with his playoff suspensions and the garbage,
stupid penalties.
Yeah,
the throat slashing.
That Gio loved that. I that's what I was worried about when we signed him. To be honest with you, I was super worried about that. I'm like, we don't need somebody to just fuck up the room. Like that's not helping. But
I don't want to see him.
He's not done that, which has been nice.
Yeah, and I don't want to see him, get back to the antics part of it. But I do want to see him be physical because he hasn't been the physical Kadri. Like I remember when Tree Living signed him. He wanted him to be a Matthew Tkachuk light, which is a stupid ask, right?
Yeah.
But he's not physical. He hasn't been physical since he came to Calgary, unless you count running into defensemen head first. That's about as physical as he gets, right? Like,
I mean, he tried to skate through people plenty of times. It was really fucking frustrating.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, that's not you. Just you go around, man. He goes, go around or pass the puck. I don't care which it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like you guys' thoughts on Kadri, and even I've come around to him a little bit. He's still not my favorite player, but I do think that he's proven to me that he's more useful than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah,
and that's
the nicest thing you've ever said about him, Dylan.
It pretty much is. Let's talk about Jacob Pelletier, who didn't get much playing time last year. Bad shoulder injury twice. Speaking of running into defensemen, maybe our team just has a problem with Jacob Trouba. I don't know what it is. But maybe Ash has something to say about that. Being half Ranger fan.
I'm not going to talk about Trouba right now, please. Such a sore subject. No. I don't know. Yeah, we won't go there.
Holy, stumped him.
I think Pelletier is going to be an injury-prone player and not live up to expectations.
Thank you.
And not anything, not because of anything that he's done. He's got bad shoulders, and That just doesn't go over well in a league where you check with your shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the downfall of Mangiapane, actually. No, he had shoulder injuries and then never
he
came
can't
back.
stand up on
Couldn't shoot,
skates.
couldn't hit, couldn't do anything, and he can't skate. But that's
that's besides the point.
Yeah, that's besides the point, believe it or not.
Yeah. I mean, 10 points in 37 games in his career thus far, it's not good enough. Really. I mean, he didn't really have much of a chance to play last year, and because other people surpassed him on the depth chart. That's just how it works. It's unfortunate. I would like to have watched him, excel this year, but that shoulder injury obviously took out that dream of him. He gets along really well with the team, which is great. Huberdeau really appreciates having another French kid around and all that fun stuff, but 10 points in 37 games isn't good enough. So, is he going to be better? I don't see it. I would like him to prove me wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would agree. Shoulder injury, that's tough to bounce back.
Oh,
Your audio cut out again.
Yeah, whatever you bumped. There you go.
All right, we're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might just have to stay really close.
Right? Yeah, no, that's shoulder injury, right? They're hard to bounce back from to begin with, right? And I mean, it's as significant as that injury was, like you said, 10 points, 30 some odd games. It's just not going to cut it at this level, right? And there's just too much. There's just too much depth there, I think, for him to survive. He's got to light the world on fire if he wants to stay here, or if he wants to stay up here. He's gonna have to drastically improve kind of his position with the team as it is right now.
Yeah, the only players that can come back from a shoulder injury successfully are guys like Chris Manev, right?
Yeah,
that was probably the best line I've ever heard watching Sportsnet. Chris Manev. I mean, he had a pretty severe shoulder injury there during the playoffs, and he came back when he shouldn't have, but still manned up and did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a warrior guy.
Yeah.
I think with Pelletier, I think even more so than with Coronato, I think the hype was too much for his style of play. Like, he was a pretty decent scorer in the queue, but he wasn't even that much of a scorer in the AHL, like maybe a little bit, but he always projected out to be a bottom six guy for me, even when he was healthy. I think that he's probably more of a fourth liner. And, 10 points in 37 games, if you're a fourth liner, is actually not bad. But,
yeah, but he also doesn't fit the mold of a fourth liner.
No, I mean, he does as far as defensive play is concerned, but not so much as far as physicality is concerned.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, physicality. He's not going to outpace the other team's lines. So I think I think it'd be a waste putting him on the fourth line myself. Not saying a waste for him. I think it'd be a waste for somebody else that truly deserves that spot or would play that role better.
Fair enough. I'm curious to see how he plays in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, he's fully healthy and shows out. But if he doesn't, then he's back in the AHL and
is
what it is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Martin Pospisil. Now, I've heard a lot. I'm curious what you guys think about this, but I've heard a lot because he played center in the World Championships. I'm curious how you guys feel about that. I've heard a lot of experts or whatever talking about how he should be tried at center. I'm not so sure about that, but let's start with Ray on this one.
I mean, yeah, I didn't get to watch too much of that tournament. But yeah, I mean, again, right? Like we talked about earlier with centers, Calgary doesn't really have kind of that depth. So I mean, if that's what you want to do and you want to try that, that's I think it's great. I don't see a downside to it. He's a big body. He's a little bit more. He's physical too, right? So I mean, he could be just one of those face-off guys that just puck drops and he pushes them out of the way. I mean, I'd be more than happy with that as long as it works out for him. I think the potential's there. I always like big body guys at center, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
It usually works out way better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you watch certain guys, right? Certain guys in the league that play center that are big guys. You know, they tend to do pretty good because they just overpower everybody, right? So I think it's a good move, and if it works, it works. If it fits, it fits. I mean, there's no better time to try it out than right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with that, or I do agree with that. Not just kind of. I think that's the thing. I think with him, I think this could be a good year for him to find what kind of NHLer he is. And I think it starts the Flames putting him in a position to succeed. And I think that's at center. You know, he wins 45% of his faceoffs. When he took limited draws, we struggle to win faceoffs. So that probably leads the team at that percentage, to be honest.
Ouch. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would give him a shot. He plays that nasty role, and I think, you know, being a center, you know, naturally should be sitting around the net, you know, wreaking havoc. And you know, what better guy to have in that position right now, really?
He's like what, 6'3", and I mean he's not the biggest bodied guy, but he plays bigger than, you know, he's light, but he plays bigger than his weight, and I like that. He's got a little nastiness to him.
He's kind of Bennedy.
Just position, 100%.
Yeah. He's feisty, right? He doesn't back down from anybody. He's not afraid to get hit. He's not afraid to throw hits. You know, he's not afraid to get dirty in the corners and in front of the net. I mean, those are the types of players I want on my team to begin with.
Yeah.
I really like what I watched from Pospisil last year, like a lot. And the few games that I went to, you know, he's noticeable even away from the play.
Yeah.
You know that he's on the ice when he's on the ice, and you know, I think that was great.
He's bugging people.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I was going to say, right? Like some politicians say it, right? If you don't like me, then that means I'm doing my job right. If you don't like him, or other teams' players don't like him, then that means he's doing the job perfect, right? Yeah. Because he's going to draw those penalties when he's in front of the net, when he's being feisty. He's going to make guys angry that are going to make them do foolish things and take penalties, and then then that's the time for guys like Sharangovich, like we said earlier, to get those 9 more goals and on the power play, right? And
exactly,
rock it.
All power play goals.
That's right. Yeah, and as far as trying him in the faceoff dot, I had no issue with that. I don't have an issue with trying pretty much anybody there. It's not like we're flush with quality centermen right now. So I mean, there's zero risk to it. Oh shit! Ash fell over.
I kind of agree. Like, I wouldn't mind trying him there. I just don't want to force it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I think he's a good enough winger that you don't need to force it. Whereas Ash doing 360s over there.
There we go. Sorry, man. I don't know what happened there.
Man,
you know
if he's coming or going.
With Zary, I think he's already proven he's a pretty decent center. But when it comes to Sharangovich, Pospisil, I just think he's proven he's a good enough winger, and I think that you might be taking away a little bit of his strength when it comes to running people into the boards in the offensive zone and stuff like that. If you have him at center, but again, like you guys said, try everything, right? Like, we're development time, right? Like, you give these guys a shot for sure. I just don't expect him to become a center like I expect Zary to be a center.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, there's literally no risk in my view.
Oh.
You know, now's the time. We're not expecting to be winning games, so you know, if he tries it for a few games and it's not looking good, then you're moving.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but for a team that's on the verge of, or you know, on a rebuild, I'm actually kind of excited to be a Flames fan.
Yeah, totally.
As opposed to, you know, after 2004 when they went into the rebuild, or you go back before that to the Young Guns era, because I'm the old guy here, and they were terrible, and there were no guns in the Young Guns. They were young and they sucked, and they gave up on guys too early. But I'm actually excited for this rebuild. I can't really explain it, because most fans don't get excited for a rebuild until the rebuild's done and you see what you've got. But I'm excited to see what these guys can do, given an opportunity now to play.
Yeah.
I'm actually impressed
absolutely.
with the fan base as a whole when it comes to that. I think maybe not as a whole, but I think the vast majority of the fans have somewhat bought in. Now we'll see what that looks like in 2 or 3 years. But I think everybody's pretty excited to see the young players develop and get a few, high octane young guys like Zane Perek might become, or whoever we might draft over the next couple of years. I'm excited, and I think pretty much everybody is. Pretty much. There's a few people who aren't.
Super stoked about it, right? I mean, I don't think I've been.
You gotta lean in, Ray.
Sorry, I haven't been this excited about a Flames hockey team in a long time, right?
Oh, it's not working.
No, I don't know. There's got to be maybe there's a cord or something. You got a cable?
No, there's no cord there.
There.
Maybe the mic's buried. I don't know, where's the mic there, Tanya, on this side. Well, let's bring it a little bit closer. There we go, off the table. I might be covering the thing. That's what it is. No, like Ash was saying, right? Very excited to be a Flames fan. This is probably the most excited I've been in a long time, probably since 2004. We've kind of lived in that mediocrity for quite a while now, and just kind of been happy with the status quo. So I'm just, like I said, I'm excited for it to roll, see how it goes. And I think that if we do it the right way, like most teams that have won the Stanley Cup in recent history, Chicago rebuilt, Tampa rebuilt. There's a lot of teams there that went the way of the rebuild, not just a partial rebuild, and they were successful, and they've garnered Stanley Cup championships. And could you imagine a Stanley Cup championship or a parade in the city?
That's what the city needs.
That'd be pretty fun.
They would let us spray water all over the place.
No, that's right. You can water our lawns that day.
Fuck yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, 100%. As a longtime Flames fan as well, I mean, like Ash said it, the lean 90s was gross. Like you had your pick of seats in the dome, right? It was a hard time to be a fan. Then we get into this. Whoops, we accidentally made the playoffs. Holy shit, we're in the final in 2004. Like,
fooled everybody that we were a better team than we were.
Yeah. And so everybody from that moment on has expected a Stanley Cup in the city every year since.
Yep.
And for me, it's been worse since 2004 to last year than it was for the 90s. Because listening to the people that had this expectations and were sitting in this freaking middle where they're just sneaking in or not in, just sneaking in, not in, win the division, out in 4. That's what it's just like, what the hell is happening with this team? Yeah. Like, it was super frustrating. Yes, I'm still cheering for every goal and excited, but man, it was hard, right? But now you at least have hope that something is going to happen, that we're going to be a relevant team for a number of seasons in a row, right? Not to make playoffs, then miss playoffs. Not, make playoffs, miss playoffs. That whole thing is super frustrating as the fans see it. So
I blame it all on firing Bill Peters.
I mean, he was also the 5th coach in 6 years too, right? Like, it's not like
no.
I mean, it's not like he was the answer. We could have got a bit more out of the team for sure, but obviously Jeff Ward wasn't the answer, but
no,
that was
that goes back to what Ash was saying earlier at the top of the show, right? I mean, Calgary's never really been good in that management area of hockey, right?
Yeah.
And maybe this is what the team needed, was in order for the management and front office to come together with the team for them to be able to be successful and put something together here, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's what Edwards needed. Maybe seeing the mass exodus is what Edwards needed. And maybe hearing Matthew Tkachuk say, like, when he was talking about the ages of the players on the Flames and how he didn't see a big future when it came to being competitive for a long time. Maybe that's the type of thing that finally helped eat away at Edwards and be like, okay, we gotta do something here.
I don't think the words of Matthew Tkachuk would affect Edwards in any capacity. I don't think that's what it was at all. I think what it was is they finally put somebody in a position to run the team that's been around the team for 20 years, and a player that was with the team through that whole time is now part of the, not necessarily decision making, but he's in the ear of it and helping with that development. I think those two sitting there talking with Edwards have way more stock on it, saying like, you've been doing this wrong this whole time, right?
Well,
Like, we've
and you
gone
know what?
nowhere.
I think what you said, Chris, Edwards is like a fan who thinks that '04 was not an anomaly and put
Yeah.
this team on a path to being a Stanley Cup contender every year. And Conroy was, if I'm not mistaken, was part of that squad. And he could
was.
say, okay, we caught lightning in a bottle, but we weren't that good.
That's right.
Like,
And they were good. I mean, they had 100
Conroy,
and some odd points that year, but they weren't Stanley Cup contenders.
yeah, like you hear Conroy say that,
Yeah.
you hear Werner say that, you hear Regier say that, you hear like the leadership of that team say like, we weren't built for that, but we got really lucky, and that's what happened, and it was great, and it was fun, and all that type of stuff, but it was too soon, right?
Yeah, you can't rely on like a Marty Jelena winning, overtime game 7. That can't be your
Three straight
business
series.
model. Yeah, if that's your business model, you're gonna fail every time. Yeah. The Hockey Podcast Network is brought to you by BetterHelp. Do you tend to compare your life to others? Does social media play a part in that? What do you do when you get caught up comparing your life to someone else's? Comparison is the theft of joy. It's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together, whether they're on Instagram or other social media platforms, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out the brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. HELP.com/THPN.
I just want to do a couple defensemen here and the goalies, but there's not many defensemen I think we need to talk too much about. I don't think many people have a whole lot of expectations of most of our defensemen, given most of them are 6s and 7s. But let's just talk about the top 2 guys, anyways, as far as Weegar and Anderson are concerned. We can do both of them at the same time, actually.
I think Anderson's play really fell off when they got rid of everybody that was an NHL defenseman and brought in everybody that's not an NHL defenseman. But I think Anderson probably, his weaknesses were exploited, because who was he playing with? Tanev mostly?
Yeah.
No, Hannafin probably would have been
Or
playing with
Hannafin. Yeah. But anyway, I think he hurt the most. I like Weegar. I think Weegar's exceeded my expectations, to be honest. But I think if we're going to rebuild and tank and get high draft picks, then I'm glad we have the crappy guys on the back end of this roster that we do, because our defense is not even AHL worthy when you get past Weegar and Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
They're
I
terrible.
mostly agree with that. Mostly. I do think there's something to be said for making sure that you have, a couple of, a few decent NHL defensemen just to suppress when it comes to developing whatever goalie you might be developing. If you're getting shelled every night, you're ruining your confidence. You're ruining, your stats. Who cares? But after a while, that'll probably eat away at you, right? Whereas at least if you are losing by 1 or 2 instead of losing by fucking 5 every night, of course, some of that's on the goalie as well. But I think in order to make that happen, you need at least a couple of decent NHL level guys.
But who do they have after Anderson and Uyghur? That's the problem. I mean,
Pahal can suppress, but that's all he does.
Yeah, I mean, what are we going to do? Try and get Stone out of retirement?
I mean, our first draft pick can hopefully come in faster than projected. In a couple of years, hopefully we can get him to NHL speed. He's got a pretty high ceiling, in my opinion.
I'd like to see him there next year, not this coming year, but give him one more year as a junior and then come in.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see that too.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
No, I agree with Dylan. You don't want your goalie getting shelled, especially a young guy, right? I mean, goalies are weird enough to begin with, and they're very, very cerebral, as my wife always tells me, because she played college hockey here in Calgary. So yeah, you definitely don't want your guy getting shelled and lit up every night. But on the same side of it, we're officially in a rebuild, so who knows, right? Right deals on the table.
It's really it's a hard balance to strike as far as developing and tanking, because very rarely can you do both of them at the same time well, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're developing at the NHL level.
Yeah, and if you don't want to destroy Wolf's confidence, you play Vladar 50 games.
You better believe it.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about that then, because we can talk about Wolf and Vladar now. Segue right into it. Exactly. I don't know if you guys have like a statistical number for these guys or a games played number or whatever, but let's start with Chris on this one.
Like we're talking specifically for Wolf and Vladar.
Yeah, just for the two, we can add Cooley into it. Although I'm sure he'll be AHL most of the year, but
yeah, I mean, I suspect this year it's going to be a 50-50 split between the two. I was one of the people. I was really excited when Vladar got here. I thought he was untested talent, and I the last 2 seasons I've just been blown away by how bad he's been. It's really unfortunate. I did not see that coming. I thought maybe potentially a bit of a drop off, but not like this. It's been hard to watch. So that being said, we're looking for draft picks right now, so it is what it is. I'm not sold on Wolf. I've yet to see something that to me proves at the NHL level that he's going to be a number 1 starting goaltender. I hope he can prove me wrong. I've yet to see it in any single game he's played. But that's fine. It's early in his career. Goaltenders are weird that way. It takes him a long time to develop and get to that spot. So I'm willing to give him the chance, especially when we're in the process of trying to, get draft picks and rebuild around it. But, within 3 years, we got to have that goaltender situation figured out.
Yeah.
3-4 years. We need to have somebody that can be a bona fide number 1. I hope it's Wolf. If he can do it, perfect. If not, I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't see much more of a future for Vladar. I think he'll finish off his contract. We may get rid of him just before it. Who knows? But I think splitting the games 50-50 gives Wolf the chance to play his games and hopefully develop. Hopefully away from LaBarbera. That's my opinion on goaltending coaches, but that's fine. So we'll see. I'm not high in the hopes category for either one of those goaltenders.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with Chris on that one. I'm a little bit more on the 60-40 side, I guess. I mean, you don't want to throw them in the deep end too fast, I guess, to a certain extent. Like Chris said, there's not, then you really watching a lot of Wranglers games, and I know it's 2 completely different leagues, but something about him there and here are a little different.
He seems to
shine and excel there,
like
nothing, and then you get up here and it's a little bit. So I think you got Vladar under contract. You let him take a majority of the games. at least 60% anyway. And who knows, right? Maybe he bounces back. Like I said earlier, goalies are head cases. They're cerebral, right? Maybe Vladar being like, I'm the legitimate number one in Calgary, that turns into something, right? And again, if it brings value to the team for later on down the road, then go for it.
Great. Yeah.
You're saying 60% Vladar?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that's just to keep Wolf from just completely destroying his confidence, because he looks really good sometimes, and then there's times he just looks a little bit out of position. I tend to not. I like Wolf. My brother, I got a twin brother, and he's an old goalie, and he does not like Wolf. He doesn't think he's a big enough player to be in the NHL as a goalie right now. But the guy seems to have proven everybody wrong at every level, which I like. I'd like to find the ruler that they use to measure him, because there's no way in hell he's anywhere near 6 feet tall. But and I think that's part of the problem too, and maybe that's part of it. They're lying about his height, so he feels like he's got to play bigger and he needs to play Dustin Wolf hockey. But the frustrating thing with Vladar is the guy can look like a world beater one night or one period, and then the next period he looks like he's never put pads on. It's just frustrating, but I think your only choice with him is to shield Wolf from being completely destroyed with his confidence, and so Vladar is going to have to play 50 to 55 games.
Interesting. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, it's interesting. You said Vladar can look like a world beater one day and look like he hasn't put pads on the next day. And I think it's for totally different reasons. But when you said that, I couldn't stop thinking of Mike Smith, who would have just a game or two where he was unbeatable, and then he'd have like 2 weeks where he was like the world's worst goaltender.
I tell you, it wasn't confidence though.
No, it fucking
Shit
wasn't.
ton of confidence. He was super confident while coughing the puck up behind his own net.
Yeah. Vladar he'll lose it from one shot to the next.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's so weird. He I don't know what it is. He's been so bad the last couple of years, and I don't even think he's looked in the last couple of years like was a world beater at all. Maybe 1 or 2 games, but not really at all. Whereas the year before, he looked like a world beater most nights. Again, Sutter system. I'm not the biggest Sutter fan, but that does help with goalies a lot for the most part. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see it more 50-50. I'm not so much on the Vladar 60% train as I am on the more 50-50 train. But my expectations is just that Wolf, I don't care much about Vladar besides like you guys said, giving Wolf some time off to not ruin his confidence and all that type of stuff. Maybe playing Vladar against some of the more high octane Edmonton or whatever, right? I'd like to see Wolf get acclimated to the NHL and get, we're not going to know what he is or isn't for 3 years because goalies are like that. And people are going to freak out and all that type of stuff. Oh, he's not ready or he's not good. But you can't judge a goalie when they're that young, I don't think. And you can't judge a goalie when they, like you said, have 2 legitimate NHL defensemen in front of them. You just can't.
Yeah.
So
and you look at the Flames' track record of goalies that went on to good careers when they left Calgary because we gave up on them. Jaguar, you could, Anderson. You can go down the list of goalies that the Flames have brought in. And
I bet most people don't even know Anderson was a Flame, drafted.
Yeah. No, and they just bailed on him. But the other thing is, though, if you're going to let Wolf play some games, you can't go 1 game in and 1 game out, and then he sits for 3. You're going to have to give him 5-6 games in a row and then rest them for a bit and give them 3 or 4 in a row and rest them. I think that's kind of how you're going to have to play him, because
give him some stretches.
He didn't look as solid when he was playing one game and then not playing. He always looked better his second and third game in a row than the first game that they played him in.
Yeah, leading up to last season, like, he was the guy, right? So, he's used to taking on 70% of the games. So, I mean, and goalies are like that. They want the action. That's why, even in middle of a period, if they don't face any shots for 12 minutes, it screws with them, right? They're not used to it. They like to be moving and in the play and part of it the whole time. And when they're sitting there dormant, I think, with the head cases that goaltenders are, they just get into their own head when they're sitting there. They can hear their own thoughts. And if you can hear a goaltender's thoughts, it's not a good thing.
Nope.
You guys remember 2022 season when the Flames were actually really good, and Markstrom kept letting in the first shot, but the first shot was like 15 minutes into the game. And it's like, well, I kind of get that. Like, it was shitty and it was dumb. And then he'd be lights out the rest of the game, right? You got to feel it. So, I get that. 15 minutes into the game is pushing it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, or one.
Sometimes
or
15 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, oh, boys, here we go again.
Yeah. Fucking game.
I hope that's not a Wolf thing.
It's going to be a long night.
Yeah. I hope that's not a Wolf thing. I hope he can face that first shot and shake the rust off quicker, but we'll see. And like we were talking about having legitimate NHL defensemen, like, it scares me that everybody thinks Miramonov is going to be the guy with Uyghur. Like, if that's your first pair, Miramonov scares the living daylights out of me. He's like fucking Tony D'Angelo everywhere. He's not even anywhere when it comes to actual defense. And, it scares me.
Yeah. No, me too. And when I saw Kevin Ball, I'm like, geez, Kevin Dahl's still in the league?
Who?
And he's about as good too.
Yeah.
Oh, he's only 23 and kind of in the same vein as goalies. Defensemen take a while, and I don't expect him to become the first line or the first pair guy, but I think that he'll be playing most of the games on the third pair, and might even hop up to the second pair sometimes. I think if you look at how Conroy drafted this year, how he drafted Henry Muse and Zane Perek and these high skill smaller defensemen, I think that he had that plan already. Maybe not. No, he may not have known that Zane Perek was going to be available or whatever, but he kind of had the plan of drafting skill over size, and that might have been a reason why he went after Ball, is because you do need size on the back end, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm being too hard on Ball. He had not a bad year in New Jersey on a team, and that he was probably pressed into playing because of injuries on their defensive side. I don't think he's that bad. He's a big body, which I like, but I don't know that any of the Russian defensemen that we have are an answer to anything back there.
I don't either. I mean, Miramonov is, like I said, scary. And Hochuk or whatever, I don't even think he's with us anymore. He signed in the KHL or something, I think. And I don't know. I like Pahal, but he's a number 5-6, right? Like, we don't have.
No.
We got enough of those 5, 6, 7s. Mm-hmm. Like a lot. We have enough of those.
We got a backlog of
couple 3, 4, 5s would be good right about now.
Problem is though, if you have a bunch of bona fide second pairing, third pairing guys, your defensive core is too good, and you're not going to be able to tank.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the trading Rasmus Anderson rumors and discussion that's been happening recently confuses the living shit out of me, because I do get that he's on a great contract. He's going to bring a lot of assets back, but he's one of the only two guys who is an NHL level defenseman. And,
that's true. But based on his play of the last year and a half, I don't want Anderson on the first pairing anymore.
No,
other than the fact that he can eat up 24 minutes. That's really the only thing that keeps him in the first pairing, in my opinion.
I don't even think
his play has not been good.
Like,
well, yeah, he was playing with Weegar at the end, right? When all the shuffling went around, and
I think Weegar and Miromanov were playing together most of the time. Back and forth, probably.
Yeah,
but either way, want to talk about one more thing here, because we do have so many 5, 6, 7 guys when it comes to the defense, and we've got a few. I want to say maybe 3 almost NHL ready defensemen. Do you guys think any of them are going to be ready or come up and play a relatively significant role, or half the games, or anything like that? Do you think any of them are that close? I'm looking at Solovyov, maybe Kuznetsov, and maybe Poirier, depending on if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, Kuznetsov is an interesting one. He's a big guy again, but he doesn't have much of a body of work at the NHL level. One game? But I think he could be one of those guys that might be pretty good and surprise some people. I think he's an upgrade over probably some of the other guys that we've got.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about Solovyov to really make an opinion on that one.
No, I would agree. I think that's the one for me too. Watching the Wranglers, I think Kuznetsov would be the one. If anybody off the list is gonna come up and be there, I think it's gonna be him.
Yeah, everybody thinks that Poirier is going to be the one, but I mean, he has to stay healthy for a season for that to be the case.
Yeah, no, and that's his biggest problem, right? He's kind of Pelletier on defense.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, right? Because I mean, he was slated to be, I mean, he's super young still.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine, but he needs to figure it out before he gets that call up.
Absolutely.
I mean, got Jake Bean's going to steal the position of anybody that wants to fight for a defensive role.
Yeah, I mean, he's a perfectly fine player.
4, 5, 6 guy right there. Boom.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think we need to bring Alex Gallant up just to give some fans some energy every game.
Give him something. That's right.
Yeah.
It surprised me how many people didn't know who he was when he was signed. It was like wasn't he like alternate captain a couple years ago and then left and came back?
Yep.
Was he?
For the Wranglers? Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
Or for the Heat even. Yeah. I think probably the Heat.
Yeah. Yeah, it was for the Heat.
Yeah, it's not the Heat. That's right.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you guys have anything else to talk about, but I'll give you guys the floor for a minute.
I actually got something to talk about.
Brustowitz or whatever his name is. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Can he
do
the job? Yeah.
Brustowitz. Well,
you think he's going to come up?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
I haven't seen enough of him I don't watch Vancouver hockey, so I'm not too sure where he falls in that. I guess I'd have to see him on the ice to kind of figure that one out. But
I think he's got a sneaky high upside. I can't remember. I think he played 1 or 2 Wranglers games last year. I think he'll be like their number 1 defenseman, maybe number 2 defenseman next year.
Okay.
He'll probably get a cup of coffee, maybe 2, 3, 4 games in the NHL, maybe near the end of the season or something. But I think he's got to play pro games before he, and like quite a few of them before he really gets up to the NHL level. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes in because I think that guy has a pretty high upside. I honestly think that that Lindholm deal was an absolute robbery. But I'm pretty excited about that kid. But especially with defensemen, you gotta let him marinate a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, I got a question for you guys, just because I heard this one floating around forever. And obviously, we're rebuild. We're not going to be a very good team coming year. What do you guys think about the talk of is it Broberg and Holloway from Edmonton? There's been talk, I guess, through certain media sources about Calgary giving them an offer sheet, both of them, because Edmonton is apparently in some cap trouble right now. And the worst, I guess, for the Broberg one is we'd have to give up a second. That's like the max, 1 year, 4.5. Do you piss off your neighbor up north just to start some shit?
I'd
love to see it. I think the problem with those two guys, though, I mean, I know I think age-wise they fit in, but they upgrade your talent level, and then you don't get to evaluate the talent that you have.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the offer sheet, they still need to sign it. To piss them off, is that worth $4 million potentially a second? To me, 100%. Just because it's Edmonton, so yeah, you do it. Are they going to do it? I don't know. I guess we can kind of see what type of person Craig really is. If it doesn't,
one of them.
His stock will go up. My respect for the man will go up again. So, yeah, I mean, if they do it, I think it'd be funny as hell.
Yeah,
I do too. I think it'd be awesome. It would actually add some spark to the Battle of Alberta when we know we're going to get our ass kicked in the freaking game this year because we're not going to be able to compete. Here's my bigger question. As excited as I am for the Flames and their rebuild this year, I am dreading the unveiling of the design of the new arena on Monday.
I'm worried
Calgary,
about it.
For whatever, the city of Calgary just seems to try to do things that are different and, let me dare say, stupid when it comes to these sorts of things. Like that whole West Side arena that was going to have a field house with retractable stands for the Stampeders, and that's garbage. Nobody does that crap except Calgary.
Yeah.
Calgary's civic leaders make such stupid decisions. I'm just not excited about this thing at all.
Well, as long as they don't bring in the person that designed the one up north in Edmonton, thing looks like a fucking golf club. How do you put a golf club? Like, why would you do that as a hockey team? That's just a bad omen.
As long as we don't pick the guy that made the big blue ring.
Wiggle that cord, Ray. Wiggle that cord.
Oh, there it is.
There you go. Yeah.
So as long as it isn't the guy that designed the big blue ring, I'm not that terrified.
Yeah, I'd like to see it look more like Dallas's American Airlines Center. I mean, it's just a classic looking barn.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to have to match kind of I don't know if you've seen the newly renovated BMO Center here in Calgary, but take a look at that. It's probably going to be something kind of around to kind of match that building itself. So
yeah, the whole area in Calgary where it's being built has had a considerable facelift over the last. It's almost been like 10 years since they started developing East Village.
Yep.
And it's aside from the people walking around it, it's a really big upgrade from what it's been in the past.
Yeah. The last time I was there, the BMO was just being constructed, so I haven't seen what that looks like.
Yeah, it's pretty funky looking building. Like, it's nothing too crazy.
The first time they're Ash, or since they redid it.
When was I there? Almost 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're talking about the first time it was put up.
Yeah, it's completely different now. Looks good though.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to get something in on that Broberg and Holloway thing. I'm not super in on Holloway, but Broberg really, really impressed me during the Edmonton's playoffs. I wouldn't, like Chris said, you need to have the player sign the offer sheet in order for it to happen. It's not like you just send it out and it's happening. So I'm not sure if that would happen. I know that guy wants more of an opportunity. I've heard that from several sources around the NHL. it's not often you get a relatively high upside, defenseman who's like, I think he's 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think he's got quite a decent upside. So I would jump on that. I might not jump on Holloway, but I would jump on that. But I don't give a fuck about pissing off the Oilers. I mean, it would be a fun little thing to talk about and laugh about, sure, but I'm much more concerned with making the team better for the long run, and even if that means maybe making them a little bit better right now, if the guy fits the age group, which he does, if he fits team needs, which he does. And I mean, 4.5 does nothing to us right now, and we have so many seconds in the next couple of years. One of them isn't a big deal. I'd do it.
Yeah. I agree with you on that one. I like what I saw to him in the playoffs. I wonder if it almost is a Treliving type of issue where you're overpaying for a guy that had a good playoffs, and maybe he's not that player.
Yeah, seen that in the
couple
past.
of years. But
talking about Kadri, or
it's always the worry.
But at 23 years old and defenseman, I would have no problem bringing him in. What is he? Former second-round pick.
Yeah.
So
first, I think.
Yeah.
Former first. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would not have a problem doing that with him.
Yeah. Trade a second for a first-round pick. Sounds good to me.
And a guy that can step on the ice and play right away.
Yeah, that's why that's kind of why I brought the question, because I know the conversation's been kind of floating around. I know Holloway's names getting thrown in there essentially because he's a former first rounder as well, right?
He's an 8th overall.
Like those two are kind of going together in the names. But yeah, like you were saying, right? Like there's definitely an upside with Broberg. I like him.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I hated watching Edmonton go on their run.
I know. It was getting scary near the end, man.
Yeah, that was I don't know.
Was holding my breath.
I was like, I don't want to listen to it.
Oh, I told Tanya we didn't watch Game 7 because we were watching the first couple of games, and then it was like every game we were watching Edmonton one, and I'm like, you know what, I can't do this. Like, I can't. We're going to baseball tonight. We're not staying home to watch the game. Let's just go. And we were literally sitting on. There was about 6 or 7 of us. We're all Flames fans. We're all sitting on the dime and huddled around this phone with this little speaker, right? Like, come on, Florida, let's go. Like, just put them away, please, for the love of God. It's like,
I don't know what was more satisfying. The way the Oilers didn't show up in that last game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a thing of beauty. That was, I mean, that was the Panthers of game 1 and 2, right? Like they just flipped the switch. There's one team that wanted that game and one team alone. It was great.
Enough of this. Yeah. We'll let you back in the building. No. We're never kicking you out. Get out.
Yeah. 100%. Well, guys, I think that should probably wrap us up. Really appreciate you guys coming on the show again.
Enjoyed it.
Another really good conversation. I'm optimistic for the future of the Flames, and I'm glad you guys are on board with that as well. I've actually noticed that with majority of the people I talk to that are Flames fans, they're optimistic, which is refreshing because we, as a fan base, we've been pretty torn as what the direction should be for about a decade, and it's nice to see that the fan base is starting to kind of see the light and see what's actually happening as Craig's doing some pretty good things.
And I think the fans will, if the guys are young and play hard, the fans will embrace them. I just hope, what they'll lose them if all of a sudden, we're 3/4 of the way into the season and we're not doing well, even though we're playing hard, and then the players give up a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
And the effort wanes, then the fans might give up on them as well.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, that's your right as a fan. I mean, I agree. All you want to see is effort and progression. That's all I want from year to year, from here, until 5 years from now. I just want to see effort and progression every year from every player.
Yeah, that's totally agree. 100%. 100% agree.
All right, guys. Well, until next one, make sure you give us a follow on YouTube, smash the like button. You can find us on Spotify, iHeart, Apple, all the fun stuff. You can follow us on Twitter, X. Sorry, Elon, I didn't want to dead name you there. At ArmChair GM _pod. You can probably track down Ash and Ray too if you want to give them hell for anything they said today, like Ash's bold predictions there at the beginning. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you heard it here first, everybody. You heard it here first. But until next time, thanks for watching another episode. Let's go Flames.
Thanks,
Go
boys. Go
Flames, go.
Flames.